Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationships, and it's by user Shima69. I, 26 female, will be co-worker with former friend, 26 male, who I was abusive towards and bullied him continuously. I used to be a complete bitch during high school, there's no denying that. I'm very ashamed of the kind of person that I was. It was partly because my parents spoiled me too much with my good looks, which I had out of pure luck and chance, and myself too. I was extremely arrogant and selfish. There was this boy in high school, kind of a loner, always busy studying and doing projects, no friends, getting bullied quite often. He was very intelligent, always the best when it came to grades. I wasn't friends with him, I was one of the cool girls and I only hung out with other cool girls and boys. I was usually the center of attention. There's always a gang of mean girls in school, and I was their leader. Well, during this time, I wasn't doing well with my grades, mostly because I wasn't spending time studying and was obsessed with other things. I had the selfish idea of using this boy, so I befriended him and led him close, in order to get some help in return with my studies, and he did help me a lot. Sometimes he helped me for hours before exams or coursework, and it helped my grades a lot. His friendship with me made him more popular as well. This kept going for almost 2 years, and I knew he liked me, but I never considered that. He eventually asked me out, and I responded horribly to it. I laughed at him, told him he was not good enough for me, and since I didn't need his help anymore, I told him that I only befriended him so that he would help me, not because I liked him in any way. I was a complete bitch. After that, I asked other girls to make fun of him constantly, which made his life difficult. Anyway, time passed and I only realized at college what a complete bitch I was, to him and to other people. I've had therapy and I'm not the same person anymore. So right now I work in HR. I was going through the list of the people who are starting to work for us next week, since I'm the person who basically meets them on day one, handles all the processes, etc. Yeah, he's one of them. I want to make things right with him and apologize for my horrible behavior, but I don't know how to do that. What should I say? I really don't know. And when should I do it? It will be extremely awkward on day one if he meets me as the person who welcomes him at the door without any prior knowledge. Should I contact him before his first day? Okay, so before we talk about OP's situation, there's two possible scenarios. One is OP actually did understand what kind of a person she was and she got help in therapy and she is not the same person as she claims to be. Or two, she's still the same person, hasn't changed, and is looking for a way to reduce a possible conflict that may arise if the guy gets triggered or something. For the purposes of this post and the commentary, I'm going to choose to believe that OP is that first person, that she actually has changed and is better. So in this case, OP, I think I'd say once again, communication. But how do you communicate with someone who potentially hates your guts? And here's what I would do. I could be absolutely wrong, but still, this is what I would do. The moment you meet him at the office, you tell him that you know and you understand how your presence might be triggering for him, but just ask him to please hold his own until lunchtime, get through the morning professionally, and at lunchtime you'd be delighted to take him out to lunch and talk to him. Hopefully he will agree. If he doesn't, then ask him at what point would it be comfortable for him to talk to you, that you would like to apologize and would like to keep everything open and professional, and that if he finds it in himself to give you a chance to do so, you'd be very grateful. Again, I don't know if this would work, but it's like the best I got. What about you guys? What would you say to OP? What kind of advice would you give her? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Sin25 says, as soon as he sees you, he is going to panic. I genuinely feel for the guy, and regardless of how much you may have changed, for him, that will be irrelevant. I would recommend at the first opportunity taking him into a private room and being open and honest to him about how sorry you are. Reassure him that you are aware of how awful a person you were and that because of him, you have made changes to your life. Don't make it about you though from there, because this is a pretty unique situation. You should make him aware that you would like to move forward and that you will understand if he does not wish to deal with you in the future, if he doesn't have to. It's also a possibility that he actually doesn't give a crap about you. I was bullied in school and one of the bullies saw me out and tried to apologize. I ignored him completely. He had lost any significance in my life and his opinions or wants were simply not important to me. But do it privately. Apologize regardless, but do it privately. And do not, under any circumstances, talk to any other colleagues about the history. Ungrateful Daughter says, the posters saying to ignore the whole thing are totally wrong in my opinion. Is there any way you can get to him before he walks through the door of his first day at work to be faced with a reminder of his unhappy past? Can you email him from your private email or Facebook him before he starts work? Is this name who went to school? This is OP and I work at company. I noticed that you will be joining the team and I wanted to let you know that I feel horrible for the way I treated you in the past. You didn't deserve any of that and I'm so very sorry. I have grown up a lot and now work in HR at company and I still feel awful for how I treated you. I guess we'll be seeing each other on the date he starts work and I hope to have a cordial working relationship with you. All the best, OP. That way he isn't smacked in the face with your presence and he knows how sorry you are. Get Real Quick says, not much to do. You should apologize in a professional capacity as soon as possible, but not really belabor the point. Having been in a similar situation on the other side, I can tell you that he most likely really doesn't want to hear it and frankly is always going to think you are a dumb, heartless bitch who is right now doing the corporate equivalent of bagging his groceries. It's admirable that you want to make amends here, but you frankly should have done this a long time ago rather than waiting and letting it fester, hoping you'd just never run into him again and you could sweep it under the rug. We reap what we sow. Additional information from OP's comments. I know he was my bullying victim and I'm willing to do whatever is necessary to set the record straight. It's fine if he still hates me after that, but I want to at least try. And for the record, I was willing to go apologize to him when I was working with my therapist, but she suggested that leaving him alone is the best thing to do, since he probably has moved on as well. She suggested that I can always apologize if our paths crossed. I don't know if he cares about my existence in any way. I hope he doesn't and he's moved on, but the only way to be sure is if I do a good apology, right? Hopefully, he will give me the chance to prove that I am a changed person. Now, I thought about contacting him ahead of time, since I have his personal information, but I'm not sure about any restrictions regarding that. And also, I can't ask someone else to handle him when he arrives on his first day. I'm the only person who has this responsibility right now. Alright, well, the community gave their 2 cents, although I must say that I don't agree with the second commenter about the Facebook message. I believe that this kind of thing should be done face to face, but that's just what I think. So now let's move on to the update to see how OP handled this and how this story ends. I'd like to thank all of you who gave me suggestions, those of you who believed me, those who didn't believe that I was a changed person or doubted my intentions. All of it helped me a lot. I love you all. Heart. So I decided to write him a handwritten letter and give it to him on the day he starts and move on professionally to the rest of the day and explain everything in the letter. Since I was the person who was supposed to welcome him to work, that meant it had to be the first thing I was going to do. I took a lot of ideas from what you all said to me, so this is the letter I wrote. Hi James, you're probably surprised to see me here. I'm sure I'm not on your list of favorite people to randomly meet. Without any excuses, I want you to know how sorry I am about how I treated you in the past. When I look back at the things I've done, there's nothing in my life that I'm more ashamed of. I can't imagine how it must have been for you during that time, and I don't pretend to understand. I'm just sorry for all that I did. It haunts me every day in my life, and it should. You might think I'm only doing this to seek forgiveness to feel better about myself, or maybe I want to make sure nothing happens to my job and career. You have every right to think that. But this letter isn't about asking you to forgive me or telling you how much of a changed person I am. That would make it all about me, but this is about you. It's about where we are right now. We're going to be co-workers, and I want you to know that I will never, ever do anything that might make your life difficult at work. It's funny I say that because my mere existence here will probably cause just that. And even if it doesn't, how can you trust any word that comes out of my mouth? You shouldn't. But that's all I have to work with. I don't know what you think of me at this time or whether you want to talk to me about the past or not. It's your decision and I will comply with whatever you decide. If you decide to not talk about the past at all, I'm fine with that. When I return, we'll go through the rest of the formalities like professional colleagues, and we only speak when we have to. If you want to talk to me about the past, that's fine as well. Be assured that it won't be about me. If you need something to yell at, someone to be angry at, or even a punching bag, I can be those things. You have every right to work in a place where you feel happy and safe, and if my existence threatens that, which is completely understandable, we shouldn't work in the same place. So if that's the case, just give me the word and I will request a transfer or I will quit. This offer is open-ended. Regardless of what you decide or how you think about me, I genuinely wish you well. These are my contact details. So on that day when he saw me, he was shocked and clearly shaken. When I offered to shake his hand, he was very stressed. I proceeded to give him the above letter in an envelope and then invited him to his desk. I tried to act completely professionally. I gave him the very basic information, then told him I will be back with the rest of the things in half an hour, to give him time to read the letter and feel more comfortable. When I was back, he was more relaxed. We went through the rest of the stuff, and at the end, he passed me a note which said 6:30 Cafe X, which is right around the corner from our office. So I went there and he was there. We sat for a couple of minutes not saying anything. Eventually, I asked how he was doing and if he read the letter. Then he burst into tears and I couldn't stop my tears as well. After a couple of minutes, he told me that he was ready to quit on that day if I hadn't given him that letter. I reminded him that I should be the one who leaves, but he told me that it was not necessary. He told me that for a couple of years he wished me dead, and even though he managed to move on, he never stopped feeling angry toward me until he saw me again. We talked more and got everything out. It was almost 9:30 at night when we were done. The first 2 hours were about our past, but the final hour was mostly a friendly conversation. We didn't talk again that week. This week, one day, he approached me during lunchtime and we had a short chat about random things. Today, he asked to see me again after work. We had a short chat and he brought up the letter again. Told me that he had time to think about everything. He said that he wasn't convinced that I was changed back when I gave him the letter, but now after 2 weeks, he's seen me around and thinks that I might have. He told me that he was willing to forgive me and put the past behind us, and we shook hands as friends. Oh, and at the end, he said I owe him a lifetime of favors. I do. I've never been happier in my life. I can't stop crying. So again, thank you all for your input and help. Well, OP, it sounds like the road that you took actually led to a good result. James gave you an opportunity and apparently you're coming through for him, so maybe this is the start of a proper professional relationship. I wouldn't go as far as thinking that this might turn into a great friendship or anything like that, but for now, I'll take this as a happy update. Thank you so much for sharing, OP, and all the best in the future to you and James separately. Now, let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user NoPush5003. Oh, you mean right now? Okay. Let me, 25 male, introduce you to the key players in this story. First, we have my dog. She is a service animal and as a result is very well trained. Up next, my annoying and petty neighbors. I live in a small duplex with an even smaller front yard that isn't fenced in. The only thing separating the duplex and the neighbor's house is a very narrow driveway. It's important to note that when I refer to the neighbors, I'm not referring to the residents of the connecting unit of the duplex, but the owners of the house a driveway over. The neighbors have a history of annoying behavior. For starters, they are extremely socially awkward. They watch over us like hawks, have never been able to hold a conversation with us despite us being friendly and trying, and are some of the most passive-aggressive people on earth. Maybe it's because we're college-aged and they have something against the youths, but whatever the reason, they have it out for us. The neighbors have called our landlords to tell them that we are partying at all hours of the night. The family with infants in the connecting unit, the unit that shares a wall with us, have never once complained, and the landlord asked them about these complaints. They always denied it. For reference, aside from me, none of the other residents of the house even drink. I drink on occasion, once every few months, but never at the house out of respect for the sober people. The neighbors called the city over the course of several months and got one side of the street turned into a no parking zone. Because we have 4 cars in total, one for each person that lives in our unit, and have to park on the street. This obstructed their view. As a result, we started parking in front of their house on the legal side of the street. One day while we were gone, they moved their truck from their driveway that has ample parking to the street to block us from parking there. Their truck didn't move for around 6 months. Anytime my dog goes number 2 in the yard and it sits for more than a few hours, they call the landlord to report it. Because of my disability, I can't always get to it immediately. My landlord understands this and understands how the neighbors are, so she has stopped saying anything aside from laughing with me about how ridiculous and annoying these people are. And this is just a short list of my grievances with our neighbors. I could go on, but by now you get the point. Well, yesterday morning I let my dog out as per usual. I was in my underwear, which are thin and tight-fitting, as I just had rolled out of bed. Let's just say they don't hide much of anything. I'm standing in the doorway where my neighbor's house is blocked from my view as my dog is sniffing around in our yard. I look down at my phone. A few seconds later, I hear our neighbor, the wife, shout, "No, don't do that here. Get out of our yard. Stop that," in a very panicked voice. Turns out they were all sitting outside. By the time the neighbor had shouted, it was too late to call my dog back over. She was in the process of gifting them a big present. I shout, "Hey, I'm sorry about that. I'll come get it. Just give me a minute," and call my dog back inside. Dead silence. About 15 seconds go by. I was on my way to my room to throw some pants on and a shirt when I hear a muffled shout from the husband, "Come pick this up right now." I chuckled to myself and shouted, "Okay," with a huge grin on my face. I knew what I had to do. I dropped the pants that I had grabbed. I turned right around, picked up a doggy bag by the door and made my way out the door and in view of the husband, who is standing crossed-armed near the pile of poop with a rude expression and posture, the wife and the daughter. Watching the look of anger turned into shock was so satisfying. He was truly speechless, as was the rest of the family. I'm just happy I have a story I can finally share on here. I also think the family is LDS, Mormon, so that is probably the most graphic display of private bits they have ever seen, at least in a non-marital sense. Well, if you say right now, I mean, it's not like you can do anything about that, right, OP? Thanks for sharing, OP, and take care. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.